My name is Natalie Brooks. I'm 37 years old, and until 2 weeks ago, I believed I had a decent marriage. Not a fairy tale one, not the kind people write anniversary posts about with exaggerated captions and filtered smiles, just decent, stable, predictable in a way that felt earned after years of choosing each other. Looking back, maybe that's where I went wrong, mistaking familiarity for safety. Marcus and I had been together for 9 years, married for 7. We met at a work conference in Denver, both killing time near a bad coffee station between panels. One conversation turned into a phone call. Phone calls turned into 6 months of long distance. Eventually, he moved to my city. A year later, we were engaged. A year after that, married. It followed the trajectory everyone expects, the kind people stop questioning once enough time passes. We bought a house 3 years ago, 2 cars in the driveway, separate closets, shared grocery lists, conversations about kids that always landed somewhere in the vague future. Eventually, when things slowed down. At the time, it felt reasonable. Marcus worked in corporate communications. I worked in project management. Both demanding, both consuming. We told ourselves we were building something together, even when most days felt like parallel lives under the same roof. The first sign something was wrong wasn't dramatic. He just drifted. He started coming home later. Not absurdly late, just late enough that dinner cooled before he sat down. He took calls in the car before coming inside. Went straight to his office when he got home, door half closed, voice low. When I asked about his day, I got summaries instead of stories. Busy, long, same stuff. I told myself he was stressed. His company was restructuring, people were getting laid off. Anyone would be on edge. So I adjusted. I cooked more, took on more of the household stuff, gave him space when he seemed overwhelmed. I didn't nag, I didn't accuse. I tried to be the supportive wife I thought a good marriage required. But the distance kept growing anyway. Date nights disappeared, conversations became logistical. We were roommates who shared a bed and avoided eye contact while brushing our teeth. Then about 3 months ago, he started mentioning her. Not constantly, just enough. My ex used to love this place. My ex was really good at fixing things like that. My ex had the same car. I didn't say anything at first. I didn't want to sound insecure, but it sat wrong. He'd barely talked about her in all the years I'd known him. I knew the basics. They dated for 4 years. She'd gotten a job offer across the country. He didn't want to move. End of story. Or so I thought. 2 months ago, his schedule changed again. More nights out, more work things, happy hours, weekend brunches, always home eventually, with reasonable explanations. But something in me had already started paying attention. The morning I saw the text wasn't intentional. He'd left his phone on the kitchen counter while he showered. It buzzed once. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again." The contact name was just initials. My stomach dropped so fast I had to sit down. I didn't open the phone. I didn't scroll. I didn't need to. When he came downstairs, I was making coffee like nothing had happened. He picked up his phone, glanced at it, and smiled. That smile told me everything. "Who was that?" I asked, lightly. "The text?" "Oh," he said quickly. "Just a coworker, work thing." He was lying. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Over the next few weeks, I noticed everything. The password lock on his phone that hadn't existed before, the extra care with his appearance, the way his ex's name kept slipping into conversations, like an echo he couldn't silence. 3 weeks ago, I finally sat him down, told him I felt like we were drifting, asked if something was wrong. He said I was imagining things. He said I was paranoid. He said maybe I was projecting. Then last Wednesday happened. He was already at the kitchen table when I got home, a glass of wine in front of him, not his first. "We need to talk," he said. By the end of that conversation, he looked at me and said the sentence that cracked everything. "I left a better woman for you." Maybe that was my mistake. The room went silent. I stared at him. Then I said softly, Then go fix your mistake." And I walked out. I didn't have a destination when I left the house that night. I drove for almost 40 minutes with no music, hands tied on the steering wheel, replaying his words over and over like my brain was trying to find a version where they hurt less. A better woman. Not a mistake, not a bad moment. A better woman. I ended up at my sister's place. She didn't ask questions when I showed up past 9 with red eyes and shaking hands. She just opened the door wider, pulled me into a hug, and said, "You can take the guest room." That kindness nearly broke me. I turned my phone off. I needed silence, needed my thoughts to stop colliding with each other. Around midnight, curiosity won, or maybe self-punishment. I turned it back on. 21 missed calls, 14 text messages, all from Marcus. "Where are you? We're not done talking. This got out of hand. I didn't mean it like that. Please come home." The last message had come in 10 minutes earlier. "We need to talk now." I stared at the screen until it dimmed. Then I turned the phone face down and went to sleep. The next morning, there were more messages. He'd escalated from irritation to panic. He'd even called my sister, who told him I was safe but needed space. Apparently, that didn't sit well with him. I went to work anyway, buried myself in meetings and spreadsheets, grateful for something that required logic instead of emotion. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach clenched. By late afternoon, I knew avoiding him forever wasn't an option. I didn't want to live in limbo. I wanted the truth. All of it. When I finally answered his call, his voice sounded smaller. "Can we talk?" he asked. "Really talk?" So I met him at a neutral place, a quiet cafe near the office, public enough to keep things civil, neutral enough to keep me from caving in. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, jaw tight. "I didn't mean what I said," he started immediately. "I was angry, emotional." "You didn't stumble over those words," I said calmly. "You chose them." He sighed, ran a hand through his hair. "I've just been confused." That word again. "About what?" I asked. He hesitated, then finally said it. "I reconnected with my ex." There it was. "How?" I asked. "Online at first, messages catching up, and then she moved back to town 3 months ago." The timeline clicked into place like a puzzle I'd been assembling without realizing it. The late nights, the secrecy, the phone. "Have you been seeing her?" I asked. "Sometimes," he said quickly. "Coffee, lunch, talking." "And the text I saw?" I asked, about last night being amazing. His face changed. "You saw my phone?" "I saw a notification." "That's all it took. You don't get to talk about rights," I cut in, "not while you're emotionally involved with someone else." "It's not an affair," he said defensively. "We haven't slept together." "But you want to," I said. That silence told me everything. "So what was the plan?" I asked quietly. "You keep me here while you figure out if she's better?" "That's not fair," he snapped. "You haven't been present in this marriage either." I felt something inside me go very still. "I was here," I said. "Every night, every weekend. I asked you about your day. I tried to connect. You shut me out." "That's not the same as understanding me," he said. "She understands me." There it was again. Comparison. I realized then that this hadn't started 3 months ago. It started the moment he decided to measure me against a ghost. "You didn't come back to her because you were confused," I said. "You came back because it was easy, because she doesn't see who you actually are now." "That's not true." "Isn't it?" I asked. "She only knows the version of you that exists in memory. I know the man who hides behind his phone and blames his wife for his guilt." He looked away. "I never meant to hurt you," I replied. "But you did, and worse, you were willing to keep doing it." For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Not fear of losing me, fear of losing the option. When I stood up to leave, he reached for my hand. "Don't make a decision like this," he said. "We can fix this." I pulled my hand back. "No," I said softly. "You wanted to see if there was something better. Now you get to find out what life looks like without me." That night, lying in my sister's guest room, I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling, realizing something terrifying and freeing at the same time. I hadn't been abandoned. I'd been replaced months ago and only just been told. And once I understood that, something inside me hardened into resolve. The morning after I met Marcus at the cafe, I didn't wake up heartbroken. I woke up focused. There's a strange clarity that comes when denial finally burns off. Once the story you've been telling yourself collapses, you stop wasting energy trying to hold it together. I called in sick to work, not because I needed rest, but because I needed time. Time to think, time to plan, time to make decisions without someone else's voice in my head. The first call I made was to a lawyer. Not a dramatic one, not someone I found through a frantic search. The same attorney who'd handled our house closing 3 years earlier. Someone who already knew our finances, our names on the deed, our state separation laws. I explained everything calmly. Emotional affair, intent to separate, no children, comparable incomes. She asked one question that stuck with me. "Do you feel safe in the home right now?" It wasn't about violence, it was about boundaries. "No," I said honestly. By noon, I had answers. By 1, I had options. By 2, I had made my mind. That evening, I drove back to the house, but I didn't go alone. I hired a locksmith, I scheduled a small moving truck, and I asked my sister to meet me there. Not because I needed protection, because I needed a witness. When I pulled into the driveway, Marcus's car was already there. He must have taken the day off too. The house looked exactly the same. Same white siding, same flower pots I watered every weekend, same place I'd believed was solid. The locksmith was already waiting. Marcus opened the door when he heard the car. His face shifted from relief to confusion when he saw who I was with. "What's going on?" he asked. "I'm moving out," I said evenly. "This is my 30-day notice." He blinked. "Your what?" "The house is in both our names," I continued. "We'll sort that out through lawyers, but I'm not living here anymore." "You're doing this because of one argument?" he said, voice rising. I stepped inside, heart steady. "I'm doing this because you told me marrying me was a mistake," I said. "Because you're emotionally involved with your ex and because you wanted to keep me here while you decided whether she was better." "That's not what I wanted," he said. "It doesn't matter," I replied. "That's what you did." I walked past him and started upstairs. He followed. "Please don't do this," he said. "I love you." I paused at the top of the stairs and turned around. "You love the security I provide," I said. "You love knowing I'll be here while you sort out your feelings. That's not the same thing." The movers arrived shortly after. I packed methodically. Clothes, work equipment, personal documents, things I had bought with my own money. I didn't touch anything shared. Marcus hovered, tried to talk, apologized, backtracked. I didn't engage. "You already hired movers?" he asked finally. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since you told me who you really wanted," I said. After everything was loaded, I handed him a folder. "What's this?" he asked. "A lease," I said. "Month to month across town. I signed it this afternoon." He stared at it, stunned. "You really thought this through?" "I had time," I said. I stopped answering my phone. That's when he noticed the locksmith. "What's he doing here?" Marcus asked sharply. I met his eyes. "Changing the locks." "You can't do that," he said. "I live here." "We both own the house," I replied. "I am allowed to secure my property during a separation. You'll get new keys once we finalize temporary terms." "This is vindictive," he said. "This is practical," I said. "There's a difference." The locksmith got to work. Front door, back door. Marcus watched, disbelief giving way to anger. "You're really kicking me out?" "I'm not stopping you from staying somewhere else," I said calmly. "You have friends, family, and your ex, who you seem eager to explore things with." Silence. When the locksmith finished, he handed me the keys. I took them without ceremony. My sister waited by the truck, arms crossed, saying nothing. As I walked out, Marcus followed me into the driveway. "Please don't leave like this," he said. "Let's talk, really talk." I looked at him, really looked. "We did talk," I said, "and you made it clear I was never your first choice." He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I got into my car. I didn't look back. The first night in my new apartment felt unreal. The space was quiet in a way I wasn't used to. No familiar footsteps, no low murmur of someone else moving through rooms I'd memorized, just the hum of the refrigerator and the city noise drifting in through the window. I slept better than I expected. The next morning, the messages started again. Marcus cycled through emotions like someone flipping radio stations too fast to settle on a song. "Please come home. You're overreacting. I never cheated on you. I can't believe you're doing this. We can fix it. You're destroying everything." I didn't respond. By day 3, the tone changed. He started telling people I'd abandoned him, that I'd thrown away our marriage without warning, that he'd been blindsided. I heard it through mutual friends first, carefully worded check-ins that felt more like interrogations. "Are you okay? What really happened? Marcus says you just left." I told them the truth calmly, briefly. He reconnected with his ex, told me marrying me was a mistake, so I left. That usually ended the conversation. Not everyone believed him. Some did. I let that go. The lawyer served the separation papers 1 week later. Marcus had 30 days to respond. That's when the panic really set in. He showed up at my apartment complex twice. Security turned him away both times. He left voicemails, crying, then angry, then pleading again. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. 2 weeks in, he stopped contacting me directly. I heard he'd moved in with his mother temporarily, that he was devastated, that he couldn't believe I'd given up on us, as if I'd been the only one trying for months. 3 weeks after I left, my lawyer called. "He wants to contest the separation," she said. "He wants counseling, another chance." "No," I said immediately. She paused. "You're sure?" "Yes," I said. "File for divorce, irreconcilable differences, fair split of assets, no alimony, clean break." She filed the next day. Marcus spiraled after that. He tried to control the narrative online, posted vague messages about betrayal and loyalty, about being left during his lowest point. I didn't engage. When friends asked, I told them the same thing every time. I wasn't his first choice. I removed myself from the competition. That was enough. 4 weeks in, he finally signed. Mediation was surprisingly uneventful. He agreed to buy me out of the house. I kept my car, my furniture, half the savings. No screaming, no courtroom drama, just the quiet collapse of something he thought would always be there. I found out later, through the same mutual friends who'd once questioned me, that things with his ex hadn't worked out. Apparently, she wasn't looking for anything serious. She'd just come out of her own divorce, was enjoying her freedom, reconnecting with old flames. Marcus was just one of several. The irony didn't make me smile, it just confirmed what I already knew. I'd never been the problem. The divorce was finalized 6 months after the night I walked out. By most standards, that's fast. But we had no children, no tangled businesses, no reason to keep circling a truth we both already knew. By the time the papers were signed, I had settled into my new life. New routines, morning walks, therapy every Wednesday evening, groceries bought for one person instead of two. A space that felt mine in a way the house never truly had. Therapy helped me understand something important. I hadn't just lost a marriage, I'd lost the version of myself who kept shrinking to make room for someone else's uncertainty. About 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I heard through the grapevine what had happened next. Marcus had tried to be with her, really tried. Dinners, weekends away, plans he'd never bothered making with me once things got comfortable. It didn't last. She wasn't interested in commitment. She'd been honest about that from the beginning. Apparently, she liked attention, nostalgia, the way old relationships made her feel desired without expectation. Marcus wasn't special, just familiar. When that fell apart, he reached out to me. One message. "Can we talk? I need closure." I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Closure isn't a conversation someone earns after they've already shown you who you were to them. Someone asked me recently if I regret how I handled everything. Moving out so quickly, changing the locks, not staying to work it out. I don't, because the truth is, Marcus didn't want to fix our marriage. He wanted to keep me as a safety net while he explored whether something better existed. And the moment I removed that safety net, he panicked. Not because he loved me, because he realized he might end up alone. I spent 9 years with a man who quietly compared me to a past he never let go of, who measured our marriage against an idealized version of someone who never had to deal with real life alongside him. I refuse to be anyone's second choice, refuse to compete with a memory, refuse to wait while someone decides if I'm enough. I'm 37 years old. I'd rather be alone than be someone's backup plan. And for the first time in a long time, that feels like freedom.